I'm good, sir. How are you?
Yeah, pretty good, pretty good.
Awesome. We'll just wait for a few minutes to let
Of
everyone
course.
join and we'll kick this one off. Cryptonaut, can you do a quick sound check?
Good morning, afternoon, good evening, wherever you're at. Can you hear me?
No. I'm just joking,
Sounds
yeah.
great.
No, you're loud and clear.
Nice.
Awesome. I guess we can sort of kick this one off while we wait for a few more people to join. Also, our audiences to join. But as a reminder, guys, we are going to have a special AMA on Friday, and we are also having a community AMA on our Discord. So if you would like to join that AMAs, or if you have any sort of questions, stuff like that, make sure to jump into that. Also, if you would like to come up on stage, just request the mic and I'll let you up. And as always, use the comment section if you have any questions. While I add more speakers, Cryptonaut, would you like to give a rundown on today's topic, what we can expect, stuff like that?
Yeah, for sure. Thanks everybody for joining this episode of XTalks. My name is Cody. I am the Chief Experience Officer at Layer 1X. If you don't know what Layer 1X, we are a Layer 1 blockchain that is fully decentralized and focused on a unique take on interoperability. We call it XTalk because we can do more than just transfer assets across cross-chain. We can also move data and logic as well. And our whole ethos is built on uniting projects and chains throughout the Web3 space. So the XTalks series is sponsored by Layer 1X, and its sole purpose is to bring together projects so that they can share their knowledge, share their projects, and share their expertise in the various topics that we discuss. And today's topic is going to be a good one. It's on nodes and node hosting, basically a general consensus of what nodes are. So if you're fairly new to the node space, there's a lot of opportunity there, and I think that our panelists that we have lined up today are definitely going to be able to help walk us through all of those. So, I think we've got just about everybody up. Is that right, or are we still waiting for a few more?
Let's kick this one off, and then as more people join, I'll add them to the stage.
Okay, perfect. Let's do that then. Today we are joined by a bunch of panelists, some familiar faces and some new. So why don't we take about 30 seconds, just give us a rundown, give us your 30-second elevator pitch on who you are, what project you're working for or working on, and we'll kind of go from there. So let's start with... let's see, Dub Digital. Let's start with you first.
Is it just me or there's an awkward silence?
No, I hear it too. Maybe let's try Ben.
Hey everyone, can you hear me right? Give me a thumbs up.
I can. Yep.
I am the CEO and co-founder of Alchemy. Alchemy is a decentralized ad exchange. So we facilitate the buying and selling of ad slots on websites, podcasts, connected TV, across various publishers. And we work with brands like AWS, Coca-Cola, Cathay Pacific, Meta, large media agencies to allow them to buy their ads online. a big part of what we offer is fee savings, and that is possible through the Validator network that we host. So the Validator network provide transactional bandwidth for ad transactions and then get rewarded in the fees generated by the protocol for doing so. It saves advertisers and publishers a ton of money in a market where they're charged 30 to 75%. Our protocol charges 3 to 8, but we're able to share that with people that provide transactional bandwidth. So yeah, looking forward to fielding any questions and just talking about the Validator network that we've created.
I love it. Love what you're working on too. Definitely we'll have to talk for sure. Thanks for being here. Is it Tasker?
Close enough. It's the Taxter, but it works. I understand how some people struggle to say it. But yeah, thanks for having me, Layer 1X. I've seen y'all around spaces before, but a bit of an introduction of myself. I'm an esports commentator, creator, as well as someone who dabbles in crypto, DeFi across the board, just as most of us here do. The reason I wanted to be here behind the mic talking to everybody is because when it comes to nodes, I recently, collaborated with a company that had a node sale of sorts, and I facilitated sales for them. And I really understood that I should dive deeper into the side of Web3 that's away from gaming, where I usually spend most of my time. Additional to that, I hold marketing positions in both Cedify as well as another agency, W3 Gaming, that facilitates campaigns and events for game studios. So yeah, good to be here.
Perfect. Welcome. Caleb, let's jump over to you.
Hey, thanks. I'm Caleb James Delisle. I am the one of the founders of the PKT project, which is the world's first bandwidth hard proof of work. It's a regular old Bitcoin-based blockchain. So I know a lot about hosting nodes because I got some at my house. Also, I was the founder of the CJDNS project back like 10 years ago, 12 years ago, which is now it's a overlay mesh network project, and it's actually supported by Bitcoin, so you can run Bitcoin over CJDNS. It's right in the Bitcoin core code base, and I'm the CTO at Rowdy, which makes hardware products to make Wi-Fi sharing with your neighbors and with your business, with your customers, makes that really easy. And we're all in the bandwidth space in Packet, so really thrilled to be here.
Sounds interesting. Thanks for being here. Let's go back to Dub Digital. Give them a little more chance.
Sorry, guys. I had some technical difficulties, but my name is Dub Digital. Been in the space for about 10 years. I'm the head of public relations over at PlayerChain, which is a multi-chain blockchain gaming infrastructure that's going to be launching on an Avalanche subnet soon in the next coming weeks. We just launched our white paper for our blockchain, so make sure to go follow us on our socials for that. But basically, a quick rundown on PlayerChain. It's a lower barrier to entry way for Web 2 players and Web 2 developers to come into Web 3. We really think accessibility is the missing link. So we provide easy to log in biometric tools for participation, but also to have toolkits and APIs for builders and gamers. So yeah, that's what we're up to over there. But basically, we just launched our white paper, and within that, we detail our node scheme with something pretty revolutionary we like to think called node clusters, which is fractionalized ownership of each individual node. So that's something I'd like to talk a little bit more on. We think it's interesting, but thanks for having us over here. Appreciate it.
No, definitely that is something we're going to be talking about. So hold that thought. We're going to come back to it. So last but not least, we have a special guest with us today. We have our very own Chief Experience Officer at Layer 1X. Mike, do you want to give yourself an intro?
Chief Experience Officer? I thought that was you.
Oh, geez, sorry. Chief Strategy Officer. Oh, my gosh. It is way too early for me.
By the way, he's the Chief Power Ranger Officer. That's what we call him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the one that wears the pink suit.
No, definitely not. But no, one day I'll give you the story about Chief, where the name comes from. But there is a little bit of an American link there, as in North American Indian. So anyway, so yeah, look, I think it's really great that we're going to have a bit of a chat about nodes tonight. I think it's such an exciting topic. It's one of the things that actually, for me, it makes blockchain. It produces provides the decentralization that we need to ensure that we've got the security and stability of networks globally. So look, I'm gonna hand over to the speakers because I think we want to hear some of their thoughts rather than me.
All right, let's try this again. For those that are just tuning in, my name is Cody. I'm the Chief Experience Officer at Layer 1X.
Are you sure?
Yep. And if you haven't already, go ahead and share the link to this episode of XTalks. It's going to be a good one. I think we've got a great set of panelists up to talk about what our topic is today about is nodes. And like our host on L1X handle basically said, Sam said, if you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand. We'll get you up, or you can feel free to, if you're a little shy, go ahead and drop those comments down in the, or drop your questions down in the comments. Geez, I'm struggling to talk this morning. It's kind of early for me here, folks. But anyways, yeah, let's just go ahead and dive in and let's start talking about it. Just to kind of give you some house rules, basically just when we ask questions, just feel free to jump in. Just be mindful if anybody else is talking. We understand that X's does suck every once in a while, and they do need to improve their quality, and sometimes you can't hear other speakers, but we'll try to get back to you as well. So with that being said, let's just jump right in. So my first question is, trying to keep this as light as possible. We may not have as many tech-driven people listening to us today. So on a very high level, kind of maybe crypto, for somebody that's brand new into crypto, what's the easiest way to explain the role of a node in a blockchain network?
I can take this one. I don't mind.
Go for it.
I think, yeah, because we run an ad exchange, so a lot of our the users of our exchange perhaps aren't crypto native. So we spend a lot of time explaining what the purpose of a validator is in our network. And for us, it's really providing computational bandwidth to facilitate transactions on the network. That kind of happens already, albeit through centralized servers, at least in the ad tech industry, which Alchemy is part of. And that typically incurs a lot of fees and for the entity running those centralized servers. So where blockchain and particularly distributed ledgers are so amazing is they allow for people that perhaps aren't part of the team but want to provide some value to a network in exchange typically for tokens. That happens on Ethereum, it happens on Alchemy's network. So when an advertiser or a publisher uses our exchange, we take a fee. That fee is used to purchase tokens. Those tokens then distributed to people that provide bandwidth on the network. That has provided us with a real competitive edge against Web 2 ad exchanges, if you want to call them that, that have to incur that cost themselves. And really that removes a lot of the friction on a network, aligns people's incentives, like you only can earn rewards if everyone is operating as they should be on a network itself, and allows for transactions to be validated globally. It allows for a layer of security and really is kind of like the fundamental building blocks of any blockchain that takes place. So yeah, if you haven't got validators, you haven't really got a network. So it's kind of the key step. And our mainnet went live in December last year after 2.5 years of development. And now it's amazing to see validators joining. We've had our first 2 cohorts of validators join, and we'll be having more join throughout this year. So yeah, it really, as I was saying, kind of to summarize all of that, is it's essential for a blockchain is to have validators. And it's a really great way if you are getting into crypto and you find a particular project or company that you want to support, of supporting that project and kind of helping further the potential success of that particular project by providing some resource to help solve or provide a solution for whatever it is they're trying to solve. So in our instance, that is add transactions on your favorite websites with your favorite brands.
No, that's some great insight. Thanks for sharing. Dub Digital, you got your hand up.
Yeah, I'll try to go the layman's way and try to explain it through an analogy. I think that's the way I learn best. So maybe that helps some people. But I like to think of it as like a decentralized clearinghouse, like if you know about banking. Basically, the whole point of Validator set is to make sure that one of the biggest problems that plague digital money, which is the double spend problem, does not happen. Satoshi introduced, validators to basically be a decentralized clearinghouse that isn't controlled by any one person. So basically what happens is transaction is submitted. That transaction goes through a randomized set, depending on how your blockchain set up, of validators. Those validators make sure more or less that if that's a real transaction or not, if someone's trying to spam the network or not. If all of them come up with the same and it's valid, then the transaction goes through. But basically, I like to think of it in terms of the traditional financial system, like a clearinghouse of sorts, but split across many people.
Yeah, that's a great analogy to think of it that way. Thanks for bringing that up.
No problem.
Anybody else want to jump in?
I'm trying to remember how I explained it in the past, but I mean, it's something it's wholly unique, right? Because we don't have we didn't have that type of thing before computers. Like the idea that the entire history of every record of every transaction that's ever been done on a blockchain could be spread, or on anything, could be spread around amongst every participant. Like that's something. It's just we didn't, until computers, we didn't have the possibility to do it. But I mean, you could say they're like auditors, because they copy the ledger, the ledger of all the transactions. Each one copies it onto its own machine, and it audits it and makes sure that everything is kosher. And if anything's wrong, then it will reject it. So like there's something about, like, in a classical blockchain, like a Bitcoin packet, whatever, it's that you if you set up a full node and then you connect to that full node with your wallet, like, that the blockchain is valid according to your full node. Like, it's been audited by your node. Even if every other node is compromised, every other node is working against you, you still know it's valid because you have one full node. So I think auditor is probably a pretty good analogy, but we don't have anything that fits perfectly.
I think but for me, they were fantastic answers, and I think it sort of gives people an idea that there's a whole bunch of different functions that are handled by a node. We've heard that it's there to store and maintain a full copy of all the transaction history in that ledger. I think there's probably a few other bits and pieces as well. It's more so around it strengthens the network's integrity. As you said, it's basically an auditor. And you can be one of those auditors on the entire network. That's fantastic. But I think there are other benefits as well, and that is how people who stake their coins or tokens against a node can actually earn rewards and actually earn from the network because they're participating in maintaining that integrity and security. I think that's something really important. Now, I think there's also different types of nodes. So there's depending on the blockchain, some of them have just a single type of node. Others have different ones. I know on Layer 1X we've got nodes that actually handle. They listen out for events on all the different chains that we're connected to. We've got the actual validator nodes themselves, the full validator nodes. But we've also got from our side, we've got another unique capability in there, and that is how our wallet holders are also validators on the network. So they work in conjunction with the full validator nodes to actually validate transactions. And we've also got signing and broadcasting nodes as well. So anyway, we'll pass back to Cody.
No, those are Great answers. And Chief, thanks for bringing up the different validator thing. So yeah, there are many different types of validators. It depends on the blockchain that you're on, what kind of nodes they offer. So sometimes it does require you to do a little bit of homework there as well. But yeah, to be able to participate in a node for a specific blockchain does open up a whole bunch of different type of new opportunities within the ecosystem. And it was brought up a few minutes ago. I think it was Ben that mentioned, getting rewards. Let's kind of talk a little bit about that and kind of educate the listeners as to, what does it typically cost, and how much of a reward does it can it yield, and how much does it cost to host a node to begin with? So who wants to jump in on that one?
I guess I'll take it because I'm running a fair number of different nodes of different things in different places at different costs. I mean, you can always buy a server on the internet from like OVH or one of these companies. I mean, Amazon, if you want to spend a lot of money, or like OVH or one of these companies if you don't want to spend a huge amount of money, and maybe like $50 a month in order to have a server, and then you can run different nodes on that server. And what the amount of stuff you can run on one server, it's kind of a magical art of like just guessing when you've overloaded it too much. But I also have I've obviously a packet node. I think I have a Bitcoin node, or maybe that one's turned off right now. I have a library node, LBRY project. Even though I don't own any library tokens, I just run a node because those are cool people. And a lot of that stuff's just hosted at my house, and it's connected through a CJDNS reverse VPN, so that it has access to the internet, even though it's on my home internet connection. And I think that like really opens up running nodes for people, because you don't have to spring the $50 a month to go and actually own a server or rent a server at a hosting company. Like, you don't have to make that leap. You can just buy like a gadget and have it at your house, and it just connects to your internet, and you can run a node just like that. So I mean, in terms of the cost, I don't know what I would say is the actual like electricity cost, but it's small enough that it's just kind of like a fun thing to do.
Yeah, just kind of as a follow-up on that, Caleb, I can't remember, is it 32 ETH? Does anybody know off the top of their heads how much it costs to run like an Ethereum node?
Yeah, it's 32.
Is it 32? So
Yeah.
if you guys can do the math, that's a big chunk of change for a lot of people. I know that. Does anybody else know some of the other chains and how much it costs to run nodes on them as well?
Yeah, I mean, to clarify, I don't run any nodes that cost money to run. I'm just running like, the old work chains. I'm more of a proof of work type of guy. I just run, the old school chains. And also, I never ran Ethereum even when it was a work chain, just because those nodes take a famously huge amount of resources, and I just don't want to dedicate like an entire big machine to running an Ethereum node. Like, yeah, I have a heart, but I don't have that much of a heart. I'm not going to like give an entire machine just to Ethereum. And so I'm more stick with the Bitcoin style blockchains that are much lighter on resources.
No, it's good to come at it from a couple of different angles, right? And so thanks for clarifying that, Caleb. But I think that it does open up the world of opportunity for just not owning a specific asset and holding it for type of rewards, like APR type of rewards. This allows you to earn rewards for putting up these resources. And so I mean, I guess kind of a side follow up to that is is it a lucrative passive income type of thing, or is it that you're just donating the resources for the good of the cause?
For me, it's 100% donating, just because I don't really pursue the opportunities to run like proof of stake nodes. Again, like, I'm old school. I don't fully trust proof of stake still. I'm still kind of back in the Satoshi era. So, my go-tos are going to be like Bitcoin, Packet, Monero, the stuff that's really been proven over the years, and we really know how it works. So, as a result, I don't get into as much making money with nodes, but I mean, there is always mining, and that's kind of another. And I think we should probably like segregate that as a different discussion, because that is a way to make money with old school chains, but it's really a different cost benefit study.
Yeah, I think that's it's very important though, in terms of like, I talked about like nodes and validators being typically like decentralized clearinghouses. I think that it also goes one step further and democratizes finance by making individual people, their own decentralized bank, right? You run a node, people can stake on top of your node, especially in POS systems. I think that's something that's important, that aligns like your validators that are so crucial to your network along with the network. So as the network does well, so does the validator does well. And that's something we try and focus on at Player Chain with our validator set. I talked about node clusters, which is basically a way we can throttle the performance of a chain, improve it if need be, through a decentralized approach, and basically cuts up our nodes into 400 cryptographically secure clusters that represent fractionalized ownership of said node. So that way, like, more participation you have, the more network effect you have. Blockchains are valued on network effects, and as long as there's economic incentive aligned for your participants, they will continue to participate and support you. So, just a little bit shameless plug there for us, but we really believe that financially beneficial nodes are the future for blockchains.
No, I definitely love the fractional idea. I'm definitely 100% supporter in that. Does anybody else have anything they want to add on that? All right, we'll just kind of move on. Just with all the listeners and panelists that are out there, I'm curious as I scroll down through here. Give me a thumbs up if you are a current node hoster for any chain. Interesting. Okay, cool. Yeah, so as we kind of go on to the next kind of segment here, my next question is, we've talked about some of the perks, some of the bonuses, things like that, but what are the essential hardware or software components needed to begin running we'll just call it a basic node? Can it be done on a regular computer? Caleb mentioned having a special little device that you can run it off of. Are there special equipment that's needed? What do listeners need to have to basically run a node?
Again, I'll just take this one. So you can really run it on almost anything, I think. So it depends again on the chain. Like, you do need disk space. Disk space is huge because a lot of these chains, the disk space requirement gets pretty big. I think a Raspberry Pi is probably enough. You do generally need to have like a little bit of, you need to be comfortable in like the Linux command line to just be able to get it set up. But again, like, we're in the era of Chat GPT, so you can almost just be like, "Hey, Chat GPT, how do I set up a node on the Linux machine?" And it'll just kind of walk you through the steps. But what I run nodes on. I have some like old Dell PowerEdge servers that are at my house. I did a a whole video. You can go on the YouTube of PKT and you can look back in like 2020. I did a whole video of making these into a water cooling rig. So it was pretty fun, and those things have been serving me well for like years. You could also, of course, you can rent a server on the internet if you want to go that route. But I really want to like implore everybody to get into the if you're running a server of any kind, whether it be a node or whatever, like we need to be hosting things at home. And the reason is because there's so much censorship resistance when we decentralize the actual physical infrastructure of these services and servers and websites into individual homes. Like if you've got fiber, you have no excuse to not be running your services and whatever you want to run at home. And then you can use reverse VPN in order to get a public IP address in order to have internet access. I mean, so yeah, again, it depends a lot on the chain that you're using. Like if you're trying to host Ethereum, you're going to need a big machine. But for a lot of stuff like Bitcoin, whatever, an old laptop is fine. I would just make sure that it's plugged into Ethernet, because you don't want to like host it over the Wi-Fi. Plug it in the Ethernet. You want to be on a fiber internet connection. It's too slow if it's on something else. And then just let it go. The most important thing is that it stays on all the time.
Yeah, I think it does. It varies chain to chain. I think a lot of the time, if you're looking to get into running validators or nodes, the specific project will provide detailed instructions. Like there's one I've come across recently called Grass, which can run in the background of your browser. There's projects like Helium that were doing it through providing Wi-Fi services and a Wi-Fi network. We have our validators across various cloud infrastructure instances, people like AWS, Linode, DigitalOcean, Vultr. You can now run an Ethereum node on pretty standard cloud infrastructure instance since it's moved to proof of stake. So I think, as you were saying, Caleb, just like familiarizing yourself with some basic understanding of what it actually is that you're hooking up to what it is that needs to be hooked up to, and then just maintaining uptime. You want to maintain uptime to maximize the rewards that you're going to receive, and ultimately to provide as much bandwidth to the respective network that you are providing bandwidth to. I think particularly on Ethereum, you will get slashed if you're not providing good uptime or you're trying to act maliciously. So like there are various fail safes in protocols that protect it from bad actors. So again, yeah, if you are looking to help further a project, just kind of being a good validator is just a best practice that I think you should employ to provide as much value and earn as many rewards as you can, and kind of be a good active participant of whichever project it is that you want to participate in.
Totally agree. Tasker, why don't you go ahead?
Yeah, I think I just wanted to mention that, the relatively new projects that are coming out with, nodes and clearly are onboarding these new, relatively new users who are probably getting their first nodes, and help them set it up is relatively easy. They either use a node hosting service or pretty much are handed all instructions they need to set up in the first place, compared to how the Ethereum nodes and Bitcoin nodes are run, right? And to add on to that, I'd love to hear what everyone thinks, because I'm a little bit new to the node side of Web3 as a whole. Recently, there was this project I worked with and facilitated sales for and have nodes of called HighChain. And they said they're going to make their nodes transferable after 6 months or so. And yeah, that's usually not something you hear based on what I've seen with projects over the last couple of months over on the gaming side. So I'd like everybody's 2 cents on that.
I'll jump in. I mean, yeah, I think that's a great idea. I think that nodes in themselves are assets, right? Whether you like it or not, they provide a yield, and I think that has a place on a secondary market, as you said. That's something we're doing with our node clusters. They'll be able to. They come with a like a yield built in, right? That'll be unstaked over the next 4 years. But when you start unstaking is up to you. So basically, you can look at it as an investment. You can use it to get yield from our blockchain. I think the next iteration of nodes is do what with it what you would like, right? And it gives autonomy to the user. So I think that's a great idea, and I think that's something we're going to see growing into the future and treating them like assets, actual digital assets.
I think there's also one more point that I would like to add, if that's right. So there is almost, because there is some kind of technical requirement to running a validator, there is almost a step before that, and that has been with like liquid restaking becoming more and more popular, like platforms like Lido. So if you don't necessarily want to go through running an Ethereum validator, for Ethereum, for example, you have to post or broadcast transactions to Beacon Chain, which can be quite daunting if you don't understand Linux command lines. But if you do hold Ethereum, you can add it to Lido and actually earn some of the rewards to kind of get a grip of what it's like to hold a token, earn some rewards. And then as you feel more comfortable, you kind of don't have to reach that threshold of understanding technically what you have to do, as well as having the collateral. You can actually kind of join protocols like Lido, and there's plenty of others as well, to start earning or yielding off tokens that you have with other people that have undertaken the technical bandwidth. They normally take a fee, so there is that to bear in mind. But then equally, if you are running a validator, there is a fee to running it. So it's kind of a nice way. It was almost like a precursor to becoming a validator or a node operator. Then liquid staking is quite a good place to start your journey, as it were.
Great points.
Sorry,
go ahead.
I'll jump right in there. Sorry about that. My previous statement was it's probably pretty nuanced to our chain, player chain, because we allow people to stake the cluster nodes, so we try to remove the technical difficulties. But obviously, if there's technical problems like you need to maintain your own infrastructure, depends on what chain you're on, that might be less of an ideal solution. But I think we're starting to see a move towards kind of moving that barrier out of the equation by actually providing that infrastructure to the nodes, and maybe like we're doing fractionalizing nodes, so it's simply just a staking kind of thing where they interact with the contract and they're able to participate in that way. But yeah, if it's more technically intense, obviously transferability gets a little more challenging.
I think fractionalization is a really smart move. I think that as tokens appreciate in value, that can also be prohibitive in terms of people wanting to join the network. So yeah, fractionalization is a real nice solution to that. I'd be interested to hear how you're actually rolling that out, because that's pretty cool.
Go for it, Dub. Chill.
Well, thank you. Yeah, so basically, what we're doing is, over at Avalanche, it's very tailored to like gaming, high throughput, very fast. But we believe the more that are participating, the more people that are supporting our network, the better. So basically, the fractionalization of these nodes it's split up right now into four different node clusters representing one actual node, and we run the infrastructure in the back end. However, these are cryptographically digital assets, each and every cluster. So they're actually people's, right? And that opens up a lot of possibilities where they can resell in the open market, the secondary market. And you could begin a staking contract and you could stop it. We like to think of it as kind of like a resealable soda can, right? Sip a little bit now, save the rest, increase your resale value later. We just want to give people choices. If they want to support the network, that's great. They could just stake it into the contract. It's pretty simple. We try to make it simple for them, and they can get passive yield. And on top of that, they get gas fees. Or they could keep it sealed and never use it and just try to sell on the secondary market. I think the more you give people the ability to do what they want with it and use it how they see fit, more autonomy, the more people will actually be open to participating. But that's a little layman's terms of how we do that. But there's more technical detail outlined in our white paper. Our white paper is 65 pages long. It's on our X account, so make sure to follow us, guys. It's at on PLYR. and you can find all the nitty gritties regarding that. But if you guys also want to work with us, shoot us a DM. We're nice guys.
You guys are nice guys, and I thought we had the longest white paper out there. You're definitely up there, my friend. So
thanks.
I'll read your white paper if you read our 119-page white paper that Chief put together. So
deal.
That sounds great. Hey, Chief, you awake or are you still asleep?
I'm probably feeling like you, probably having a bit of a snooze, but
do you want to give a rundown of how we're running nodes and providing the opportunity, or do you want me to explain it?
I'll let you do it, mate, if you want.
Okay, you can go back to your cat nap then.
Love to hear you do it. Yeah.
It's past Chief's bedtime, so
I don't think so. No, no.
He's an old guy and goes to bed quite early. So no, just kidding.
Come on, that's not fair. It's not old. It's not age. It's about experience. Okay, just because I've been involved in crypto for I can count mine in decades. That's different.
Okay. Yeah. No, that sounds good. So, yeah, very similar to how Player Chain's doing theirs. We're offering, kind of an NFT based permission to be able to host a node for our investors. We're also making it kind of a couple of click solution for those that are very new to nodes. As a passive income way to earn, way to participate into the community as well, into our network, is very varying levels of nodes that they can run. As Chief explained earlier, we have the full validator, we have the event listener nodes, and then we also have the mobile validation. So to run a mobile validation, like you said, all you have to do is just have a wallet, and that's pretty much it. And from there, then the event listener nodes do require a little bit of hosting as well as the full validator, but we are working on a way to create an interface within the L1X app that allows people to not only host, but also sell. Very similar to how Dub Digital was just explaining on their chain, how they can basically sell their nodes off pretty easily through like a marketplace. I'm presuming that's how Dub, you guys are doing it, is through like an NFT marketplace type of thing on the secondary market. Is that correct?
Yeah. Correct.
Perfect. Yeah, so we should definitely look at collaborating there so that our people can sell on your NFT network and vice versa. That sounds like a match made in heaven for sure. So yeah, we agree with the whole kind of like making it simple, getting people invested more into the various components of the ecosystem, and trying to make it as simple as possible, but also making it accessible for those that have been running nodes. Like it sounds like Caleb is our veteran when it comes to running nodes, and has been running nodes on his own kind of devices from his home network, that you could even do that as well. So so we're running things very similar in that fashion. I think. Oh, go ahead.
Oh yeah, look, I might as well add in there as well. So, yeah, I'll be running my own node on Layer 1X. I've actually got my own machine because why? Because I guess I've got a little bit of a geek in me, and I'm actually going to be running it on a fairly powerful machine, probably an i7. I think there's about 48 gig of RAM in it, a decent amount of storage plus SSD. Got about a terabyte allocated to it, but the machine's probably got about 20 something terabytes of storage. So for us, our minimum requirements are around probably an i5 or Ryzen 5, 16 gig of RAM, and around that 1 terabyte of storage, and about 100 megabits of throughput. So from our side, they're not too onerous, the requirements. The machine I'm running it on is actually going to be, it's also the machine that I hold for my, I'll be running, serving up different shows on it, shall I say. It's just a machine running at home.
Perfect.
You know, I've just, this is not really open to the public yet, but I'm launching like a little kind of experimental hosting service, and we're going to charge like a really low price and like 500 PKT per month, which is like $1.50, and that's we're going to make it so that people can have a virtual private server running on my machine, which is I use ZFS, mirrored pairs. It's all used equipment, like AliExpress special, but I took the time to get it stabilized. So I believe in this machine. It's not going to crash. And when you go for that older, like 2 generations old, 1 generation old, you can get up to like 256 gigs of RAM, that kind of stuff without too much trouble. And so I've got something that just watch this space. Follow me on Twitter. Join the Packet Telegram if you're interested in potentially buying one of these. And they're gonna have all reverse VPNs, so you can host little websites and different nodes that whatever you want on there. Even if you're not technical, it's going to be like a visual user interface. And so anyway, but what I was actually going to say that earlier, this is a new thing, and nobody's really done this yet, but I think it'd be really interesting. So, I mean, like you guys, you're a layer 1, right? And I'm running a layer 1, Packet's layer 1. So it's really hard for people to transact. We don't have our own dexes because, we're layer 1s. And so you got to go through a wrapper or something like that in order to get to a DEX, or you got to use a centralized exchange. And then there's all the annoyances with that. You got to sign up and all that. But what would be a really cool node to run would be if there was a way that you could just like have 2 wallets that are automated, and you just tell those 2 wallets, I'll buy this for that, or let's say I want to have 50% of my funds in Packet and 50% of my funds in X. And then those wallets will just make offers in like a decentralized marketplace, and you're like one node in that marketplace, and you actually make money on that, like by providing the service of a decentralized marketplace. And I hate to say like it's a DEX, because a DEX is usually a contract on top of another chain. This would not be a contract on top of another chain. It would be like literally different chains atomic swapping between each other. And like it's all kind of exists, but nobody's really packaged it up so you could just run a node. And so this is something that I'm really tempted to just go ahead and do it. And maybe I'll offer it like that you can install it on maybe my service, or maybe you just install it on anything, and that way you can make like your own little swaps where you can offer some asset in exchange for another asset.
Caleb, I'm going to
are
talk to you after this.
Yeah. So Caleb, what you're talking about there is being able to do effectively cross-chain swaps between chains that were previously not compatible using a DEX.
Yeah, I mean, as long as they're capable of locking up into a what's it called, HTLC, hash time lock thingy majig, like that thing that Bitcoin has that makes Lightning Network works. As long as they have that capability, then you can like do the weird transaction dance that makes it so that you get the other person's coins and they get your coins. We're good. We can do it. It's just like somebody's just got to write the code, and I don't know if it's going to be me or who it's going to be, but like this is the kind of node that we should be running, because it allows us, all of us L1 mafia, to be able to swap between our chains, and we don't need to use a contract or a wrapper to do it.
Oh, Caleb, I think, Sarah, I think you might have to spend a few hours in the next couple of days reading a white paper, and then come back and have a chat.
Yeah.
All right. That sounds good.
That's our sweet spot, my friend. That's what we do.
That's what we do.
Bridgeless interoperability. So yeah, I'll definitely be talking with you after this, Caleb.
All right, hit me in my DMs or public, whatever. Jump on pkt.chat. That's a service that I host. It's a chat server, and we run our own chat. Like it's run on a server at OVH. I host a lot of things.
Love it. Love it. Yeah, I already followed you and I plan on DMing you. So, well, cool. Before I jump on to our last question, thanks, Caleb, for throwing out that alpha. I think you've perked up some interest in some of our listeners, as well as Mike flexing his arms on his computer. So before we jump into our last question, if you guys do have questions, if you're a listener and do have questions for our panelists about nodes, feel free to drop those in or submit a request, and we will get you guys up here to talk to our panelists and all that. So moving into our last, before I do our last question, I believe our resident badass, Inna, who is over XTalks, honestly, this thing couldn't go without her. So she's asked for just a second. So let's just turn some time over to her before I ask the last couple of questions.
Hey, no, I was actually, hello guys, hi everyone. Well, actually, I wanted a closure statement for myself, but I also can stick my two penny in now because it's still relevant. So, first of all, please guys feel free to drop your links, any information that you would like to drop in comment section about your projects or your organizations in comment section, because you know I we set up this space initially to make sure that we educate the commoners, the normies on nodes and validation process, because it's such a massive deal right at the moment. And I know that a lot of people want to do it, want to participate, want to start looking into it, but however it's just not enough technical clarity on it. So you know you guys have been an absolute tremendous help within these spaces, which we will turn in podcasts and spread around Spotify and Apple Music and so on and so on. So this is so highly appreciated. I'm sorry for the rant, but it's my word of appreciation for you. So yeah, please feel free to drop all your links and stuff. So if anyone needs your help, they can reach out and, in a matter of one click. Yeah, so we have a couple of questions within the comments section, but I know that Cody is itching to ask his. So I'll let him go and then I'll go again. So yeah.
Let's just go to the community questions. I only have one more question to ask. And so, yeah, let's go to the community questions.
Okay, so basically, all right. There is a very simple question that we probably already touched base on, right? There are two ways to host nodes, and the first way is when you take upon initiative and responsibility, and obviously study it all, which obviously time consuming. Let's be honest, it is time consuming and it is commitment. So. And there is another option when you take upon a hosting services, and this is heads up to Caleb, because again, I think it's very helpful to know that if you want to make some income, passive income, but you don't have time, you don't have resources, you still can do it. It's just a matter of tapping into the correct project. So the question was basically around benefits of tapping into an outsider company or organization that would host it for you. Do we need to vocalize the benefits of it, or it's pretty obvious? You go ahead, guys, if you have some thoughts on it. Awkward silence.
I'll jump in there. Yeah, well, the benefits of having a third party run it obviously is the simplicity of it, right? Within a couple of clicks and maybe a credit card thrown onto the hosting of it, it is a very, very easy thing to do. And the best part is you don't have to, as long as you choose a fairly good hosting service, that has well-established uptimes and speeds and things like that to handle the type of node that you're running, it can be a pretty rewarding type of experience. But likewise, just be mindful that depending on who you choose, they do take their cut of running it, or they do charge you pretty hefty up front because they know that they're not getting associated with those fees. Likewise, a lot of it has to do with your quality and your up speed, and there's a lot of different requirements that come to running a validator node so that we'll just call it, you stay in the good graces of the network, so that you are one of the kind of up and most notable type of nodes that are being ran and respected. That can also come into play as well as a variable. So if you don't have good uptime speeds, you're not constantly running your node, people aren't staking to your node to add benefit and things like that, it can cause you to not be as lucrative in your amount of rewards that are earned. So it is kind of a balancing act. So do your own research. This isn't financial advice by any means, but definitely research the chain that you're going on, the reward systems, the requirements, things like that, and then a plan accordingly.
Yeah, I'll just jump in there too. I think that, definitely run your numbers. If it makes sense, go ahead and do it. But if it doesn't make sense, it doesn't mean you can't participate. In some blockchains, they have something called delegate staking, where if you're not competent, if you don't feel confident in being competent in running the technical side of things, I participate in that too. I've done it all, right? So run your numbers. If it makes sense to do so, maybe use a third-party provider to help you out. If it doesn't make sense using a third-party provider, maybe there's an option for you in delegate staking or something like that.
Brilliant. I think that would cover, the basics, right? If any of you guys got anything to add, please go ahead.
Yeah, I think we've come a long way in running machines these days. I mean, I go back to my history when you used to crank the machines up. No, seriously, you used to set up your servers, and it'd take hours upon hours, and you'd have to feed it all the disks. You'd have to do all that sort of stuff, configure it, do all that sort of thing. These days, it's a simple matter of running an image. It could be a Docker, it could be anything really, and it's basically set up for you. So. These days, most projects will provide you with fairly simple instructions to actually get it up and working. So don't panic about it. I think there's enough information out there. I think we've got people on the call tonight that have probably first time, others that have been doing it for years, which is fantastic, and it can be very rewarding.
Exactly. See, we have to, accommodate everybody. That's very important. I think it's very important for adoption in general senses. The more education we provide, the more users are, establishing some sort of a trust towards crypto and Web3 industries. So, that's the aim. That's the goal. One more question within the community questions, right? Which is more like actually quite specific, but I also think we should definitely respect it. So this is for those who already are running nodes from their home. So what is your strategy for downtime when you may be away from home for a longer period of time? Like, let's say you're on holidays for a couple of weeks. Is there any specific strategy you could think of? Guys, your expertise is absolutely priceless tonight. Oh, sorry, this hour tonight. Code is morning. Whoever is where. But anyways, any specific strategy for running nodes when you are away and nobody else is to look after your node?
Make sure the water reservoir is full. Set the AC at about 23 degrees C and just hope for the best. But actually, I have a
Sounds like it's a
friend who lives
plan.
in the same town, And what I've thought about if I'm on a longer holiday is to put like a webcam on my machines and just have him stop by once in a while, or I can call him if something goes awry. But you know what? Here's what I'm going to say. Like this is not about nodes, it's about computers. The longer it runs, the more reliable it is. And it seems like not really, it doesn't seem like it means that much, but I will give you a true story. Last couple weeks ago, I had a brand new machine from our hosting provider at Rowdy, and it motherboard caught on fire and it died. Like lost a motherboard on a brand new machine, and that was the problem. Like, and meanwhile, I've got machines that I literally drilled holes in them and put like water cooling rigs on them, and they're from like 10 years ago, and they're sitting there hosting nodes, hosting websites, hosting everything, sitting at my house, and those things are rock solid. So like the most important thing is for a computer, the longer it runs, the more reliable it is. So because you find out what the problems are over time.
Wonderful. It sounds like hosting
I
Node
can
is pretty much having a
totally,
plant.
yeah, I can
Having a plant
totally
or
agree
like
with
a
that.
baby. Ben, what you've got?
I think, yeah, that's perhaps where cloud is like an interesting counterpoint to that. If you are hosting a validator or a node on a cloud instance, you don't necessarily have to worry about that. It's going to run pretty much 99% of the time. The only downside to that is there's more of a cost, right? So it's, if you are planning a lot of holidays and not being at home that much to maintain your machine, it might make sense to look at cloud or both, cover your bases so you can take your holidays and not have to worry about maintaining it, but then equally lower your cost of running a validator with a machine as well.
Then you've got like semi hosted or semi stuff like Rowdy, the company I'm a CTO. We make a product that you can put in your house, and it does some Wi-Fi internet sharing type of stuff, VPN. And those products, we're watching over them from the central office. So, I mean, obviously, if it loses power, that's, we can't fix that. But a lot of issues we can remotely repair, like with a reboot. And you think about like your cable modem, that's hosted at home, and yet it is quite reliable. So, I mean, reliability is something that can be done if it's something that you care about. So at Rowdy is something we really care about. So, we try to make our products as reliable as a cable modem.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, guys. I think for now, I am done with my questions and my input, my two penny. So, Cody, Mike, anyone else, please feel free to jump in. If you have any questions or comments, please go ahead. But I thank you all, and I will remain silent from now on.
You're good, Anna. Thanks for bringing those community questions. Those are two great questions. So my last question is that we've definitely been talking about what it takes to run a full validator, run multiple validators, and the commitment behind it. But we've also talked about how incredibly empowering it is to be a direct participant in the infrastructure as well. So with that being said, how might an active role in a blockchain by hosting a node shape the future of finance, of just not finance, but every other aspect of blockchain technology? How will that change our lives, and where could you guys see node hosting going in the future?
I mean, the potential for passive income is pretty huge, right? If you can get in early to a few good projects and start earning a reward, you've effectively kind of created a job for yourself to some degree. I think it also then gives you a head start on the specific use case of a particular protocol. Like if I take Alchemy, for example, there's a lot of services that I'm sure that we haven't thought of that may benefit brands that are looking to advertise on websites, or websites that are looking to increase the revenue from the ad slots that they sell. And by running a validator, by getting under the hood of the network itself, you may uncover a solution that you think you can create. You have a validator by which you can add that to the network, speak to people that are running the protocol. Like, it's a really good ticket into projects, and more so than just holding a token. You know, it allows you to become actively involved. But doing that for multiple projects can then lead to what is a really nice passive income. And yeah, I mean, ultimately quit your job and go full-time crypto, which is kind of what we're all here to do, right? So yeah, that would be, for the individual, it can be pretty significant.
Yeah, I would definitely agree on that. I like to think of passive income from crypto, especially nodes. I call it the new annuity. You know, if you guys don't know what annuity is, it basically pays you out a set amount of money, fiat money, but now we're just changing I guess, the mechanism of the money into digital money. You know, so definitely something that's interesting, especially if you get in early on. I could think of been in the space for a while. I remember when Dash just released their nodes. You know, I think it was tough, 10,000 or so to get in on that. But, you know, looking back at it, that would have paid dividends upon dividends. So there's opportunities, there's also risks. But, you know, if you're able to pick a winner, it could, you know, play out big for you.
Yep, 100% agree with you. And to kind of shill our stuff, I think, Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that I think we have a couple of full validator and event listener nodes still available for purchase. Is that correct? I think
there's some still left. Yeah, I can't remember what we've got left actually, but I know we've sold out on one of them. That's for sure. But that's not all we're going to be getting. So, you know, as our network grows, we're going to be requiring a lot more. When you're sitting there processing transactions, you know, cross-chain, already 8 chains, and we've just been discussing today how we're adding a whole bunch more chains. We're just going through that process of deciding what we're going to add. No, I'm not going to give any alpha tonight. We'll hold that off. But yeah, we've got a lot more coming up. Imagine being able to go cross-chain to 15, 20 different chains without bothering with using bridges anymore.
So casual.
Yeah, it's normal for us. You're so right. Though. It is casual, but you know, everybody's out there thinking about, oh, how am I going to bridge across to, you know, between Solana across to ETH or to wherever. We're just doing that. That's just normal for us. Yeah, EVM, non-EVM, does it matter? Should it matter? That's a whole nother story, isn't it?
So if you guys are into hosting nodes and want to get in on an early opportunity, as you can hear by Chief's kind of alpha that he's dropped, we are definitely multi-chain. And if you see those happening, you know that those transactions are going to start adding up into the hundreds of thousands very, very, very quickly. So as Dub and Ben basically said a few minutes ago, that it is definitely, hosting nodes are a great passive income play, not financial advice, but definitely do your own research. But it is an opportunity to kind of tap into something new. And L1X might be a great opportunity for you guys to get into something new, especially if we start going cross-chain. Because you think of all the bridges and how much transactions they do on a daily basis, it could be a lucrative opportunity to host a node. So,
well, there was some really tiny chain. It's been going for a little while, I think. Most people probably haven't heard of it, Cody. That we'll be connecting fairly soon as well, as one of those extra chains. What was that one again? It started with a B from memory.
Be good. I can't remember.
I think it was something like
a
Bitcoin or something. It could have been Bitcoin. I don't have any.
Yeah. Bitcoin. Yeah. Caleb might like that one since he's a Bitcoin OG.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, We're starting to ramble, but anyways, thanks everybody for your time. We appreciate it. Please, if you haven't done so already, I believe that this has been a great episode of just generalized node hosting, what nodes are, that kind of thing. Our panelists have definitely earned a follow from you. So if you haven't done so already, please go through and give each of our panelists a follow. They definitely deserved it and earned it today. We appreciate them taking the time out of their busy schedules to come on and share their expertise and their knowledge. We've made some good new friends today. I've definitely followed everybody on the panel side of things today. Likewise, be sure to share this out to your friends that are considering possibly hosting nodes and are interested in that. This is a great precursor, I think, into hosting nodes. Likewise, there are a lot of different communities out there, especially on the various chains, that you can get involved with to ask questions. That's one good thing about crypto that I've discovered in my 7+ years of being involved in crypto is that I could probably count on one hand the amount of communities that I've found that are not helpful and don't want to help. Rest of the time, everybody else seems to be extremely helpful and knowledgeable in what they're doing and are here to actually generally help people because we're all in this together. And so with that being said, thanks everybody for attending and keep working towards uniting and bringing all of crypto together. And have a good evening, morning, or afternoon, wherever you're at in this world. And we'll catch you on the next XTalks AMA. Goodbye, everybody.
We'll catch you later.
Thanks for having me. It's been
Bye,
great.
guys.
Cheers. Bye.
Thank
See you
you.
guys later. Thank you.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much.
Cheers, everyone.